Hi guys, and welcome to Angling For You. Today you join me at Moorfield Farm Fisheries and we're having a little go at paste fishing on the Waggler. Now, it's not technically my Waggler rod. If you've watched any of the other videos, it's my little Browning feeder rod, 8 foot, but what I want to talk about is how we can change that. If you haven't got a pole with you or you haven't got that kind of setup, how you can do a finesse setup to fish down the edge still and still catch carp and still use the paste. And hopefully today we're going to go through that. So just unhook this first fish. It's a nice mirror, nice little fish, couple of pound. Now in regards to fishing the paste, it's a little bit different to how we normally fish it, and we'll go into the rig in a little bit more detail in a minute. But the first difference is, you know, we've got no pot to sit on top of a rod, sit on top of the pole, so we have to have it swingable. So it's a consistency that's soft enough to mould, but firm enough that it doesn't come off when you swing it. Now, you could, and I have done, use a Waggler rod. You won't be able to cast this. This is a swing and drop, but you can use a Waggler rod to do this, a Waggler float. But what we're doing with the setup to keep it finessed is using a pole float and a pole float rig effectively. Now the float itself is gone onto the main line. We've slid that onto the main line as normal, and we just tied a little 6-inch hook link with a 16 on, which is again a smaller hook than I normally use for paste, and depending on how we go on we might end up moving that to a 12. Always check the venue, because some of them only go up to size 14, some of them go to size 10. This venue is a 12 maximum for the biggest size hook, but effectively we've made a pole rig, and we're looking at trying to get them on paste. It's been plumbed exactly the same way you would plumb up with a pole, with a plummet, same as you would on the pole. The difference is we're obviously lowering and swinging it. We've got a little rod, and we'll be hand feeding the pellets. And because we're doing it at close range, that allows us to be able to get away with that. The thing that we do have is there's a lot of small fish that we're going through, but I have seen some carp move in. There are carp around this area, so I've obviously got a little one there. Hopefully they get a little bit bigger, but we'll see as we move along. Let me just at that bit's just come off. And I have with this one, normally with paste rigs, I wouldn't put any shot on it, or I'd put little amount of shot, but it is quite a big float, but I want a little bit of weight to be able to swing it out. It's not cocked to the full extent. The paste is doing that, but what I want is it to keep the bait down. I've just got a bulk, a number 8s, to bring the float down a little bit, so I can still tell when the paste's off. There we go. To another fish. Nothing spectacular, but it's all good sport. And we'll have a little, just keep a little run going first, and then we'll obviously come up close and have a look at the difference in what the paste looks like and the rig itself. What I will say is, what you want to try and do is just dry your hands off a bit more than you normally would with paste. Reason being is obviously we need it to stay quite dry and stiff, not dry, but the same consistency, so otherwise if it gets too wet it'll end up just dropping off, and that's obviously not gonna help what we're trying to do. I mean, that I just watched an F1 that go up and try and take the float then. Lunacy. So when you're throwing them pellets in, you've got to be quite liberal with them, because not many of them, I don't think, will get to the bottom, in all honesty. So the other thing to notice is we're only doing sort of tiny thumbnail size bits, and that's due to the fact of the 16s hook that we've got on, and also it's to do with the swinging it out. We don't want it, if it's too heavy piece of paste, you just end up pulling the hook through it. There's a big carp underneath that. Again, keeps coming up for the float. And the fish have been all the way up and down this bank, so it wouldn't surprise me if we actually caught them just off the end of the rod, like so. That's the tiniest little one. His tail hooked.
I can get mine to get to the bottom of that if we get in more.
Alright guys, into another one. So it's nothing massive, but it's a little bit bigger than the last one. I've seen a couple of carp there. Definitely a carpy, this one. Oh, might be in it. I'm actually. Oh, we're in. Certainly not happy about it. That is for sure. Hooked perfect in the corner of the mouth. Let's get a bit of line off it. Just perfecto. Let's get him back. He's not playing ball, a little bit angry, I think. Don't blame him, don't blame him. Let's get some more pellets in. Like I say, we'll do this for a couple of minutes. We'll have a few fish, then we'll have a little look at the rig. Yeah. Yeah, to cock it. Still some fish there, that's for sure. Right next to where that swirl is. And we're in again. Only a baby one, this one. Definitely not the big swirl that was behind it. There he is, F1. And there's some great fish in this, such a good laugh, this. Just great fishing. Not much things better. Sit with your mate, catching fish, filming for you guys. What more is there? Just had the COVID for this week, testing negative for the last couple of days, but my first bout of it. Managed to dodge it for quite a while actually, but it's finally succumbed to it last week. Oh, now that were a bite. Not a big fish, but that were a hell of a bite. Woohoo! Come on, baby. Lovely little carp. Again, absolutely pristine. Beautiful looking fish. Absolutely lovely. There we go. Next one. So what we'll do is hook this one, we'll move it round and see it from another angle. A little left one, I think. Nice little carpet. Lovely little fish. This fish is unbelievably pristine. Let me get this one up for you guys. I mean, that is textbook. Look at that, that is beautiful. Some beautiful little fish here. Let's have one more before we have a little talk through the gear. And just see what we've how we're doing it, because it is a little bit different. The pace a little bit different. The rig is a little different, obviously, to a Waggler rig. And it does look like I'm a little bit Zorro striking, but you've got to imagine when you're fishing on a pole, you would strike hard up. This is what you're doing effectively, but with a rod. So they do look a bit fierce, but you've got to be able to pull that hook through the pace, you see, in order to get them. Oh, that little fantail. There's a little fantail. Right guys, what we'll do is we'll come in close, we'll have a little look at how we're doing it and at what the pace like and all that kind of business. Yeah, we'll see how we go on. Right guys, so for fishing this pace a little bit differently, you could use a short Waggler. I've got this Carp King F1 wand, 8 foot. It's a lovely light rod. I'm not casting it or anything like that, I'm just underarming it. And it's just perfect for this kind of fishing. We're only really catching small fish. There might be the chance of an odd bigger fish. Set the clutch, it can run off and we'll end up getting it in. It's fairly open water. It's got a nice small sort of 2,500 Black Magic reel with 4 pound Daiwa. No, it's not Daiwa, it's Maxima, 4 pound Maxima. We've got a Des Ship style diamond float for the 18s. And this is where I mean it's different. There's no Waggler. It is a pace. It's not a pace float. It's a diamond float, but it's a proper pole float. When we're attaching it like a pole float, 3 rubbers, and then down to a small bulk. I say a small bulk. It's 6 number 8, so it's quite a big old float. What I don't want is for it to cock it fully, and that's what the paste will do. But I need it to be able to swing it out, give me a bit of weight. I've got 014 uplink of about 8 inches, and that's down. I've changed from that 16 to a KKMB size 12, which is obviously just a little bit better when you're striking through. So the difference in that sense is the rig is similar to what you would use on a pole, but obviously we're not casting it miles and stuff like that, we're just having it in close. So that said, the pace is different also. So as you can see, it's a lot heavier. It's like a super over-wetted mix, but it's not sloppy. It's, you know, it's almost like Play-Doh, I would say, that kind of consistency. You can mould it about, but it will stay on the hook, and that's one of the reasons why I do like the Megabytes as well, because it's quite tacky, quite sticky, and does stay on your hook quite well. I always have a little tag on the end of the hook. And what do I mean by that? I mean that when I do a knotless knot for the uplink, I always leave obviously the part where you would have a band or anything else on there. I'll leave that, so then I can snip it a little bit, and that helps hold on the paste. So let's just stick that under there. So the paste itself, it's just the same scenario as you normally would, but it's just a smaller bit of paste. So we've just pushed that down and moulded it up, and it's probably around the same thumb size as my thumbnail, and we don't want it too heavy, but we don't want it to be too light either. I'm just going to give it a flick down here and see if we can have one while we're in this angle. And the fish are on it straight away. There's so many small fish here. There we go. Absolutely all over it. That looks like a little small carp, F1. And you can have some devastating weights even with this, and you know, lovely little fish, and that's all really we're catching. But like I said, there's a chance to have the bigger fish. But if you've got a Waggler and you've got the space, you can do it and let them swim off. So there's a chance that you can get the bigger fish there as well on other venues where it's not as many smaller fish, and it'll still work just the same. It just means that you're able to control them a little bit better. When they go off, you can obviously let the clutch out. Now if you've got a sort of bigger fish, if you could do it, maybe sit further away and have a bigger rod, a slightly stronger rod, but you can still fish a pole style rig on it if you want to. So let's back onto main camera and we'll give it a go. Right guys, so I'm gonna have a go back down here and see if we can get back into some action. Matt's catching steady over to my right. There we go. Oh, little fantail, little fanny tail. Jumping out your hands. There we go, lovely little fantail. Let's put him back in. It just proves that sometimes, you know, if you're using small bits of paste, don't always have to go for the Donkey Kongs. Still can have good sport with the littler ones. Yeah, well that didn't take long. Has it hit the bottom? They love it, they love a bit of paste. And another fin perfect fish. Absolutely lovely. See another bit. Let's move it a little bit higher up. Sometimes they scrub the bottom when they're nailing everything. Quick bites. I've got to there we go. Nice little mirror. See what I mean? Like the variety is crazy. I've had 4 fish in a row and they've all been different kind of fish. And again, just beautiful condition. And I do love this megabites and stuff for baits. I still like green swim stem, but since I've had this megabites, I've never really looked back. I just think it's fantastic. And the fish obviously agree with that. Absolutely chaos. I love this this paste. It's that's such a nice way of fishing it as well. Like, it's real easy. Sometimes when it's swingable, there's no messing about. Like you're not having to mess about with sloppy and putting sort of bait into your cup. You know, it's all easy and you can throw it in by hand. Come on. Get off, thank you. Sometimes it's over the end of the rod. That's the only thing about rods, isn't it? It gets annoying sometimes. Try and keep a tight line on it. Actually, came up and took the physical float and did that fish. There we go. Just decided it's hooks now. Only a little thing. Lovely little mirror. Beautiful little thing. Fully scaled as well. God, that's lovely. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful, fully scaled. Wow. These little ones, I love it. Love the little fish. I'll give him, oh look at that, he's even giving me a hook. I'll have one more drop, guys, and then we'll call it a day, I think. See what we can have on the last drop. An instant win would be nice. Only had two. One of them I had on camera and I didn't press play, which is not very sensible. Nah, that don't count. That does not count. We're not having that as the last fish. I know it's a lovely little fantail, but we're not having it as the last fish. It is tiny. We will go again. Bit bigger paste. See if that leads to a bit bigger fish. Probably not, but we'll give it a go. There we go. Lovely. Lovely condition again. This little carp, they love it. Look at that. Absolute perfect. Oh yeah, nice one. Soaked me. Right guys, well, hopefully that shows you a little bit of something that, you know, many people don't have poles, many people don't want to use poles, but they still want to try out these methods, and there's an easy way of doing such a thing. We've got the finesse of a pole rig, we've got the strength and the durability and obviously the distance that it can take line out of the rod, and just combat it together, and you still get great results. So if you want to jump on the playlists on the YouTube, then there's absolutely everything: unboxings, reviews, challenges, match videos, all sorts. If you want to go on the Angling For You Facebook group, there's about 9,000 members on there, all ready to answer your questions, put your videos, your pictures, whatever you want to put on there. If you want to buy and sell, go on to Angling For You, buy and sell. And if you want to come and see what we're doing on Instagram at angling_for_you, then join us over there. And finally, if you can like, share and subscribe, that'd be fantastic. And join the Angling For You family. And until the next one, guys, thank you very much for watching. Tight lines.